Thank you. Today, what I'm going to present is one of my ongoing research on this girls' comics title. The Chinese term manhwa is used in Hong Kong to refer satire and caricature, political and editorial cartoons, and all other genres, usually called cartoons or comics. Up until the 1980s, only a handful of women manhwa jia make names for themselves producing Hong Kong manhwa. The first and ultimately most successful of these female artists was Li Weitan, creator of Siloi Manhwa, girls' comics, 13 Dots. These 56-page comics debuted in July 1966 with each 6-panel page depicting an independent story revolving around the main character with 13 dots. The comics run continuously until early 1980s with a total of 178 issues. The artist's prolific drawings of 14 dots, ultra-fashionable outfits, gathered a great deal of recognition for the comics and its creator, with Li becoming known in Hong Kong as the master of girls' comics and the fashion designers on paper. 13 Dots was created at the time when Western popular culture had begun to influence Hong Kong's local cultural productions. The arrival of 13 Dots in 1969 provided new artistic directions for the local comics, with full-colored cover designs to inspire readers. Li's detailed drawing style and dazzling array of outfits worn by Miss 13 Dots. Readers often use the comics as a fashion reference for making clothing for themselves. A reader once counted 1,072 and 28 separate pieces of clothing in issues 1 through 28, with an average of 62 pieces appearing in every 56 pages issue. This focus on fashions, along with the westernized lifestyle depicted in the story, became an educational tool not only to teach readers about how to dress like a modern woman, but also to present an ideology of an ideal modern woman, one with an independent nature and active lifestyle. Li Weitan's Miss 13 Dots is a beautiful high school student living in a fictional Asian city called Fadazi, Fortune City, along with her banker father, Zhao Sangan, Mr. Cash, and mother, Lou Loi, Miss Lovely. The name 13 Dots, subsounding from the Shanghainese dialect, refers to an empty-headed but cute young woman who overdoes things like a pendulum clock that bangs 13 times for 12 o'clock. Many 13 Dots stories commemorated the idea of gender equality through their narrative. For example, issues number 55 preferred a preference for daughters rather than sons depicts a father who is uninterested in taking a second wife, a practice which was still legal in Hong Kong at that time. The artist managed to break away from the Chinese traditional images of feminist behavior favored by 1960s and 70s Hong Kong society. 13 Dots ceased the publications in the 1980s, and for almost 2 decades was nearly forgotten by its reader. While Li was working for a children's magazine, interest in Li Weitan and 13 Dots were rekindled in 1986 when a former reader, Tina Lau, interviewed Li for an article in a city magazine, issue number 114. These articles allows articles portrays Lee as a shy woman who hides behind her husband, and offers disappointment with Lee as the creator of 13 Dots is apparent in the articles. In reality, Lee is part of the older generation of Hong Kong women who did not encourage the concept of self-promotions and believe in themselves. Her former fan-turned-writer, Tina Lau, is a younger generation who grew up in the 1970s under the influence of Western values. Fans of 13 Dots have matured into a generation of women with confidence beyond what Hong Kong has experienced before. Years after 13 Dots appeared, Publications Holding Limited reprinted the comics with the artist's permissions in July 1996. These 168 pages reprinted consisted of 3 stories selected by the artist from the original versions and published without alternations. By 1996, most of the significant Hong Kong artists from the same period have retired or passed away, leaving these 13 Dots one of the few comics artists lived from before the 1970s. The publications of this 30th anniversary reprint brought recognitions of the important legacy of 13 Dots and Liu Waizhang in the history of Hong Kong comics. The 1996 publication date of 13 Dots coincide with the period just before the British government handed sovereignty of Hong Kong over to the Chinese government. This was an era in which Hong Kong people actively sought out local cultural history and artifacts to help construct their independent post-British identity. Thus, the reprint of 30 anniversary editions of 13 Dots was not coincidence. In fact, it helped fulfill some of the public's need for nostalgia, as they complemented at the end of British colonial rules and a foreseeable future to come under communist rule. An admirer of 13 Dots, the Hong Kong public's quest for nostalgia did not end after Chinese control before July 1st, 1997. It continued because the economic downturn the city endured after the handover. I co-authored a retrospective book and illustrated history of 13 Dots, the work of Liu Waizhang, with the artist in 2003. After the book was published, Liu organized her second solo exhibit in February 2003 as a design bookstop, and was interviewed by numerous popular magazines later that year. Those interviews, like previous one, focused mainly on the comics nostalgia's importance.